Thank you for allowing us to present today. Our team would like to discuss some zoonotic disease risk factors that we have found among our participating study households. Mongolian nomadic herding families. Today we would like to begin by defining the One Health concept as a whole and how it can be applied in Mongolia. Next, we will discuss some of the zoonotic disease risks that face Mongolian households today, as well as briefly introduce our current research project. Then we will highlight some of our initial findings from our household survey results and provide some recommendations for how to move forward on research and interventions. One Health in Mongolia. There are many definitions for the One Health concept or theory, and although it has gained more successes as a framework for addressing complex public health problems in recent years, many scholars and practitioners have been utilizing this holistic approach for decades. The One Health Commission defines One Health as the collaborative effort of multiple health science professions, together with their related disciplines and institutions, working locally, nationally, and globally to attain optimal health for people, domestic animals, wildlife, plants, and our environment. One Health Sweden has created this image that demonstrates just how intertwined human, animal, and environmental health studies and practice should be under the One Health umbrella. We cannot approach a challenge in one area without simultaneously addressing the impact in another. We all share this one space, us, the animals, the plants, the soil, the air, and our waters. Using the One Health framework as a guide, we can work towards creating more comprehensive solutions to growing problems such as climate change and global pandemics. This is incredibly important for countries such as Mongolia, where livestock are important in every aspect of the local life. They provide food, clothing, housing material, income, fuel, transportation, employment, and cultural pride. As of 2016, it has been estimated that Mongolia has 73 million livestock. This is despite the fact that the country's land can only sustainably support 29 million animals. Increases in livestock numbers could have devastating consequences on the country through the degradation and desertification of land, the drying up of rivers and streams, and the significant decrease in pasture growth and pasture plant species. Harsh winters and the loss of livestock lead many Mongolians to seek refuge in the capital city of Ulaanbaatar, but here they are forced to live in areas without adequate water, sanitation, or electricity. One Health research and interventions will continue to be needed to address the impact of intensified herds on livestock health, human health and well-being, and the ability of Mongolia's unique ecosystem to bear the burden. Zoonotic disease risks. Zoonotic diseases are spread between humans and animals and make up the majority of illnesses that people are infected with globally. Every year, new pathogens emerge or re-emerge, and the majority of these originated in animals. Many zoonotic diseases can also be transmitted to animals through human contact. The major transmission routes for zoonotic diseases are direct contact, which means coming into contact with the saliva, blood, urine, nasal secretions, feces, or other bodily fluids of an infected animal. This can occur from petting an animal, from bites or scratches from the animal, or through slaughtering and butchering methods. Indirect contact comes from having contact with areas that infected animals have lived or have been held. This can account for the handling of infected objects or contaminated surfaces. Examples of indirect contact risks include cleaning out a fish aquarium or an animal housing pen, or having contact with contaminated plants, soil, or water sources. Vector-borne transmission occurs when you are bitten by an infected mosquito, tick, flea, or other vector. Foodborne is the result of eating or drinking something that is contaminated or unsafe. Often unpasteurized or raw milk has been found to transmit zoonoses through foodborne methods, but so can unwashed fruits and vegetables, undercooked meats and eggs, and untreated drinking water. This is a table of 22 zoonotic diseases found in Mongolia, as well as their transmission methods. There are many other zoonotic diseases found in Mongolia that did not make the list, but this showcases just a little of the threat that we are up against every day. Mongolia's nomadic and herding lifestyles increase the risk for zoonotic disease exposure for many reasons. First, herding alone puts household members in close contact with an animal. The large numbers of herds in Mongolia also mean that if an outbreak should occur, it has the potential to wipe out large numbers of livestock at once. Additionally, the livestock seasons associated with birthing, producing cashmere, horse racing, etc., all mean that specific animal contact, such as being around reproductive tissue, inhaling particles from a goat's hide, or putting horses together from different IMAGs before a race. Here in Mongolia, most of the butchering and slaughtering is done at home. Often pieces of the animal is fed to dogs, which, for example, can then become infected with echinococcus, and they can spread that to household members. Meat is also dried and cooked using animal manure. These manure fuel pieces are collected and handled often by household members who may or may not wash their hands before preparing the meal. Flies are also a great carrier of disease and enjoy landing on drying meat, freshly slaughtered carcasses, or animal waste piles. And perhaps one of the greatest zoonotic threats to Mongolian households is the consumption of raw or unpasteurized dairy products. This is an excellent way to acquire many zoonotic pathogens if the milk is not prepared correctly. Also, milking is done by hand several times a day. Unless the person milking has washed their hands between every animal, there is a significant chance to spread zoonoses between the animals and to household members. And now briefly, we will discuss our current project. My teammates and I are part of a collaborative group between Duke University in the United States and the Institute of Veterinary Medicine in Ulaanbaatar. Under the guidance of our joint PIs, we have created and implemented a One Health research project to be completed in 2018. This project addresses some of the zoonotic disease risks characteristic of Mongolia's nomadic herders. Our focus for our research project is on 3 zoonotic enteric parasites. We will determine the prevalence of these parasites among household members, domestic animals, household drinking water, filth flies, environmental water sources, wildlife, and gastrointestinal patients, as well as identify household risk factors and the pathogen ecology of these zoonotic enteric parasites. One major element of our project is an inclusive household survey that is broken into sections related to demographics, water, sanitation and hygiene, animal husbandry, farm practices, human illness, animal illness, and risk perception and knowledge. So far, we have successfully administered this survey to 50 households across 2 sites in Salang and Zabkon provinces. We have also completed our sampling to try to identify the parasites within the specimens we collected. And now let's discuss some of our preliminary survey results. In terms of water, sanitation, and hygiene, our study households need improvement. While the majority of households are receiving piped water, which is an improved water source according to the World Health Organization, they must obtain this water from the SOAM Center. This allows many opportunities for contamination from the time that they get the water until the time it is consumed. Other households get their drinking water from lakes, rivers, and streams, which is untreated and could carry zoonotic pathogens. Most households do adhere to some kind of a drinking water treatment, but yet 34% said they did nothing to their water before drinking it. Sanitation infrastructure for the nomadic herders is seriously lacking. Almost half of the study households practice open defecation. The inability to keep human waste out of the living space can put household members and other animals at risk for disease. Hand washing events varied across the households, with almost every respondent saying they washed their hands first thing in the morning. Over half also said that they washed their hands after animal contact. Yet very few reported washing their hands after visiting the toilet or before cooking or eating. In terms of self-reported animal contact, every household reported that they do in fact have contact with animals. All said that they have animal contact due to herding, but 11 households also said they had animal contact with their pets. Different animal relationships lead to different exposure risks. "84% of the participating households reported diarrhea in their animals in the past year, yet only 30% of those called the veterinarian for help. Almost every household also used animal waste or animal manure as a cooking and heating fuel within the ger. Handling animal waste is dangerous and could expose the person to a multitude of pathogens. Particularly due to the cold and harsh climates of winter, over half of the households reported letting a small or baby animal inside the ger to try and improve its chance of survival. However, cohabitation with animals can expose people to many zoonotic diseases. Of interest to us is the unique risks that are associated with the roles and responsibilities related to animal care that may be divided due to gender norms. In the study households, both males and females are in charge of herding responsibilities, of feeding the animals, attending to animal births, and treating any sick livestock. However, when it came to butchering and slaughtering, the job was almost exclusively done by males. Opposite to this, the cooking and milking chores were done primarily by women. Each task exposes the person to animal fluids, and safety measures must be put in place to prevent infection. Household members had a better understanding that animals can cause disease for people, but were unaware that humans can cause disease for animals. Most households did believe that animals pose a health risk to humans. To avoid zoonotic disease exposure, survey respondents recommended vaccination and keeping animal waste away from the ger. And now some recommendations as we move forward. As the livestock industry grows, it will remain important that One Health concepts carry through to determine the impact on the ecosystem and domestic and wild animal populations. Fly and other vectors, such as ticks, should continue to be studied for their potential to spread disease, particularly as the land changes. One Health demands an ongoing interdisciplinary partnership between local, national, and even international experts and stakeholders. There are a lot of experts across many fields that can serve as incredible resources and project consultants within Mongolia. These complex problems cannot be solved by a single discipline alone. And finally, residents need more education on how to prevent zoonotic disease in the home. In particular, foodborne disease risks should be discussed with sensitivity to the fact that the nomadic lifestyle and the consumption of raw, unprocessed dairy products are part of the Mongolian culture. Livestock will continue to be a rich tradition for the people of Mongolia, and they deserve to keep their customs and way of life while maintaining health for themselves and their families. Thank you. Please let the team know if you have any questions.